Today I'm going to show you guys how to make a Gigot sleeve. I don't know whether it's pronounced Gigot or Gigo or Gigo. I have no idea, but it's basically a trendy sleeve that starts off as a puff and ends as a pencil. So it starts as a puffy sleeve and ends as a pencil sleeve. I'm sure you guys have seen the thumbnail already, so you already have an idea of what we're making today. I'm going to show you guys how to draft, cut and sew this Gigo sleeve. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. So the first thing I did was I folded my fabric in half. I did that because I wanted to cut both sleeves together. So if you want to cut your sleeves one by one, that's totally fine. Now the length of my sleeve is about 14 and a half inches rather. And that's how long I want my sleeve to be. So you have to measure to find out how long you want your own sleeve to be. It honestly depends on you. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut along that line. Now the length of this, or the width of this rather, is 60 inches. So I want it to be very long so that when I gather it, it's going to be really puffy. I'm just going to go ahead and cut along the fold so I can get my two sleeves, or I can separate the sleeves rather. For the straight part of the sleeve, I simply folded my fabric lengthwise and widthwise just so that I can cut both sleeves at the same time. And then I marked 7 inches for the length of the sleeve. So it honestly depends on how long you want the straight part of your sleeve to be. Now her round sleeve around the elbow is 12 inches divided by 2, that's 6 inches. I marked that and I added 1 inch allowance. Now her wrist measurement, that's around the circumference of her wrist, is 8 inches, which is 4 inches when it's divided by 2. So I marked that and I added 1 inch allowance. I drew a line to connect both points and then I'm just cutting along that line. And this is what we have for the straight part of the sleeve basically. Now when I measured the top part, what I got was 14 inches. Now moving on to my sewing machine, I simply just set my machine to be at the loosest stitch, and then I just sewed a straight line all the way from the from one end to the other. I went ahead to sew a second stitch all the way from one end to the other, still with the loosest stitch. Now when I cut the thread, I made sure not to cut the thread too close to the fabric so that I have something to hold on to when I pull to gather the fabric. So basically I took the bottom threads and then I just held them and then I pulled them slightly and then just used my fingers to just gather the fabric along the thread. I did that from one end to the other, just making sure that the gathers are nice and even. And once I was done, this is what it looks like. Now taking the straight part of the sleeve, I'm just going to go ahead and gather the entire puffy part of the sleeve on the straight part. Now I'm setting my sewing machine to be on the regular stitch length that I normally used to sew, which is about 2.5 or 3 inches. Just going ahead to just gather all of that into the straight part of the sleeve. And once that's done, this is what we have basically. Then I went ahead to just measure the top part. Now I'm just going to go ahead and cut a piece of fabric that I'm going to use to just pipe that top part of the sleeve, so it's nice and neat. It's about 1.5 inches wide and about, I think, 12 inches long, just so that it's about the length of the top part of the sleeve that I measured. So this is just to pipe, you know, the top part of the sleeve, so it's nice and neat, so that rough frayed edge doesn't show. I'm going ahead to just fold the sleeve. Now all the measurements on the insertion of the off-shoulder sleeve to the bodies of the off-shoulder dress, all of that, I have a very detailed video where I show you how to calculate all the different measurements you need, you know, before you can actually cut and, you know, attach your off-shoulder sleeve to the bodice. So if you want to see that video, the link will be in the description box down below. I basically just shaped the sleeve to her measurements, just so that it's fitted, at least the pencil part is fitted while the puffy part remains puffy. Then I just turned the sleeve to the right side, and then I'm just going to go ahead and just get my dress, and then I'm just going to cut out the armhole where I'm going to insert the sleeve. Again, the exact measurements I took and how I came about these measurements, or how I got these measurements, is in a detailed video. The link will be in the description box down below, so check it out if you want to know how to cut your off-shoulder sleeve and how to cut the armhole for your off-shoulder sleeve. Definitely check that video out. So after cutting the armhole, I'm just going to go ahead and attach the sleeve to the dress. And once that's done, this is one sleeve attached. Look how nice it's looking. And I also went ahead to attach the second sleeve as well. And this is what it looks like. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.